we're now segueing into the anime portion of the show.
Yay, anime!
Yay, anime! Andrew, you tweeted out solicitations for questions to beyond@ign.com.
Yeah.
What's that email address again?
Beyond@ign. @'s the weird little black hole sign that's at the top of your keyboard. IGN.com.
It's above the 2.
It is above the 2.
Which is the second number.
It's not
in between
above the
1 and
2.
the 3.
It's like the
well,
it's the back
shift.
side of the 2.
It's
like the 2's ass. That's what hitting a shift does.
It's like it's Secret Identity.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
It's the Clark Kent is the 2.
Superman.
Yeah, and the
No.
Superman.
Superman is the 2, and Clark Kent's the ampersand.
Oh, is this a callback to Kill Bill?
Well, no. I mean, that's just sort of the thing. Is Clark Kent is a secret identity.
Well, there's like a really good monologue in Kill Bill Volume 2.
It's good.
Hey guys, sorry, Marty and I blacked out there.
Kill Bill had a really cool anime scene. Speaking of really cool anime scenes,
Wow.
Justin T. Weil emailed us at beyond@ign.com and said, number 1, Anime Club. Can you think of any game-to-anime adaptations or vice versa that you think would work well and you would recommend, or any that you want to happen? So let's start there. That's a pretty big question.
So we've definitely had this episode before.
Okay.
So
should we just pause and then put that entire episode in
Yeah,
here?
we're just gonna slice it in.
Do you remember what episode that was?
Megway.
Do you remember what episode that was?
Oh no, I don't.
Okay, I'll embed it in the post.
Yeah. So if you want like the really in-depth version of this,
we
we've
had
done
talked
that.
about it. But just like the big game to anime adaptations. What
Sorry,
happened?
I mouthed F word you to her.
Do I have to write that down?
I don't know. Sorry, go.
Alright.
Sorry.
Oh, there's Pokemon, Steins Gate. So
Steins Gate, yeah.
If we're looking,
Oh yeah, Steins Gate's on Vita now, right?
Yeah,
Steins
Steins
Gate
Gate is the visual novel first.
The visual novels on Vita, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also on PC and I think PS3.
What's Steins Gate about?
Steins Gate is.
It's about
It's wonderful.
the best
and
stuff.
It's about time traveling.
Oh, I like
it's
that.
Consequences of time traveling.
Yeah, and it's really, it does characters really well. So like all of the characters, we talked about this actually on Anime Club this morning. Just all of the characters are really, really fleshed out. They're 3-dimensional characters. So all of them have something where you're like, this person's so great, but they kind of did this thing that's kind of not great.
Yeah.
And they're like realistic people, but in this sci-fi kind of world where they don't. It's not really about like physical time travel. It's more about like ideas traveling in time.
Right. It's just like the very beginnings of time travel and what it could become and the consequences of trying to learn more about it too. So this group of essentially college students and like their high school friend figure out how to send text messages back to the past.
Yeah.
And the consequences of those like altering, their world and, trying to figure out if it's like the right thing to do and then, figuring out the even bigger consequences from that too.
Yeah.
And so it
That sounds incredible.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's a fantastic anime. Like you should absolutely watch that if I think you're just looking for anime.
Is there a dog in it?
Yeah, it's
no.
is there a dog?
Dog or bust?
Dog.
You go for it.
But there's a cute blush. The
Okay.
Oopas.
There is the
Oopas are
Oopas.
cute.
Yeah, I think this question was specifically about like Persona, and he wanted suggestions, kind
For
of like
game to anime. Like,
Yeah.
So watching stuff. So
Wait, you guys were
Steins Gate
yeah.
Steins Gate is
is
the
like
one.
the easy one to recommend.
Wait, was
Yes.
that game to anime or anime to game?
game to anime. It was a
That
visual
was game
novel
to
first.
anime.
And then the one that I wrote down in all caps is Danganronpa because I love Danganronpa, and that one is also an anime, and it's by the same studio as the Persona animation. It's by Lurke, and so that's another one. Like if you don't want to play the game, which it's a good game. Like we've talked about this before. Like some people don't like the mechanics of Danganronpa.
Mitch Dyer.
Yeah, but I really enjoy it, and the story's really good. So that's one like if I think the question was about his girlfriend. So like if your girlfriend doesn't want to like take the time to like play the game, it's not super long or anything, but the anime is also a good option. Yeah,
I'm interested in kind of that concept. I think it's really cool how so Persona 5 they announced an anime special, and then Persona 4 has a series of they did one series for the original and then one series for Golden, and then P3 actually you just watched the first 2 movies. Which are they're doing based on seasons. They're dividing it up into 4 movies. That'll I think there might be a 5th, but that are telling the same story as the game. And I think that's really interesting to me. That like the Danganronpa one also does that. I believe
Yeah,
it's the
same story
of the game rather than like a spin-off kind of set in the same world or whatever it is.
So,
are all of them? I mean, is that super common to kind of adapt the actual full
maybe
story?
like bigger game, like really big games, the Fate Stay series. We usually see this with visual novels, since they are so cinematic in themselves already. Like they tell like a really great story. They establish a bunch of different branching paths, and then usually you take like the main path.
Yeah, you take like the most popular one or something. So
Yeah.
Fate's a good example.
Yeah, the Fate series.
Well, God Eater was a game first, like an actual game on I think the PSP. I think it was
PSP.
God's Eater here, and it was God Eater in Japan, and then they just adapted that into anime this past season.
Right.
So that keeps happening, but I don't know how the story is in God Eater, the anime.
Yeah, it was released really slowly on Daisuke. I think it's still going. I mean, it is still going. I just have to catch up on it. But it looks
I
really
find
great.
that concept really interesting because, especially for like a JRPG, like you can spend 80 hours playing Persona 3, or you can watch 2 90-minute movies and be caught up through half of that game. I think that's a really interesting. It kind of depends on why you play. I think like there are people who play for the mechanics, who want the grinding, who want the dungeon crawling, and you also get kind of an enriched experience. You get that idea of, like social links and getting to know the characters outside the main story. Whereas, like you were just saying, like that, I think these animes seem to do just kind of the main path. But there's a lot of value in that, and that honestly, like my backlog is so crazy for games that it's like I like the idea of being able to kind of skip.
Yeah, if you don't have time for a full JRPG or going through all of the paths in a visual novel, like it is kind of nice to get that abridged version. And it's not even an abridged version; it's the full story from the main kind of line.
Yeah,
and you get all of that value.
Gotta get that true ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting too because like people keep trying to find that like white whale of a video game that has a movie adaptation that's not horrendous, and it's funny because we still haven't really gotten that. But whereas with anime, it seems like there's been plenty of things that like are very good or at the very least passable, like as opposed to like sort of like the dreck that is like the Hitman movies or Prince of Persia or any of the Resident Evil movies.
Right.
So yeah, it's funny that Japan seems to be doing it just fine, whereas the West is sort of blowing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for Assassin's Creed, Jeremy Irons.
I honestly think that might be the first like actual like incredible video game movie.
Yeah, I mean,
like I haven't seen Macbeth yet, obviously, but based on the trailer and based on kind of the early impressions of that movie and based on how good the cast is for Assassin's Creed, that is probably the one I have the highest hopes for ever out of a game to movie adaptation.
What if they fail you?
I'm gonna be a real sad boy.
cry.
We'll all have a good cry.
Yeah.